He was a behemoth of a man, standing at a towering 6 feet 9 inches with an IQ that surpassed most. Edmund Kemper, known as Big Ed, could easily blend in, even charm with his gentle demeanor and disarming intellect. But beneath this veneer of normalcy lurked a monster, a serial killer whose gruesome acts would shock the world. This is the chilling story of the co-ed killer, a journey into the mind of a man driven by dark compulsions and a tortured past. Edmund Kemper's life was marred by turmoil from the start. Born in 1948, his early years were anything but ordinary. From a young age, he was caught in the crossfire of his parents' tumultuous relationship. His parents' marriage was fraught with conflict, a constant storm of arguments and resentment. The household was a battleground, with young Edmund often left to navigate the emotional minefield on his own. His father, a World War II veteran, struggled to adjust to civilian life. The horrors of war had left deep scars and he found it difficult to reintegrate into a peaceful domestic existence. This struggle only added to the tension at home. Meanwhile, his mother was emotionally abusive and domineering. She constantly belittled him, undermining his self-esteem and creating an environment of fear and insecurity. Her harsh words and controlling nature left a lasting impact on young Edmund. As a child, Kemper exhibited disturbing behavior. He began torturing animals, a common early warning sign of deeper psychological issues. These acts of cruelty were a dark prelude to the violent fantasies he harbored, particularly against his mother, who he saw as the source of his misery. At 15 he committed his first murders, killing his grandparents in a fit of rage. This shocking act was a desperate attempt to escape his troubled home life, but it only marked the beginning of a more sinister path. This act marked the beginning of a horrifying trajectory, a descent into the darkest recesses of the human psyche. The violence that had been simmering beneath the surface erupted, setting the stage for the horrors that would follow. It was a grim foreshadowing of the horrors to come. The seeds of violence planted in his turbulent childhood had begun to bear their deadly fruit, leading to a legacy of terror that would shock the world. After spending years in a mental institution, Edmund Kemper was deemed rehabilitated and released back into society. The decision was based on his apparent good behavior and the belief that he had been cured of his violent tendencies. However, this proved to be a fatal mistake. Kemper, who had already shown signs of deep psychological issues from a young age, was far from being a reformed man. His release marked the beginning of a dark chapter in California's history. Kemper's outward demeanor was calm and collected, which masked the storm brewing inside him. He was a master manipulator, able to convince those around him that he was no longer a threat. But beneath this facade, his twisted desires were festering, waiting for the right moment to erupt. Once free, he quickly fell back into his old patterns, driven by an insatiable urge to kill. This proved to be a fatal mistake. Driven by his twisted desires, Kemper embarked on a killing spree that would terrorize California in the early 1970s. His first victims were young female hitchhikers, whom he lured into his car with a disarming sense of security. He used his imposing stature and friendly demeanor to gain their trust, only to betray them in the most horrific ways imaginable. He embarked on a killing spree that would terrorize California in the early 1970s. His modus operandi involved picking up young women who were hitchhiking, a common practice at the time. These unsuspecting victims had no idea that they were stepping into the car of a man who harbored such dark and deadly intentions. The streets of California, once seen as safe and inviting, became hunting grounds for Kemper. He targeted young female hitchhikers, often college students, who were trying to get to their destinations. These women, full of life and dreams, became pawns in Kemper's deadly game. He would drive them to secluded areas where he could carry out his gruesome acts without interruption. The sense of security he projected was a cruel illusion, masking the true horror that awaited his victims. Luring them into his car with a disarming sense of security, Kemper would engage them in friendly conversation, putting them at ease. His ability to appear normal and even charming was one of his most dangerous traits. Once he had them isolated, his true nature would emerge. The car, which seemed like a safe haven, quickly turned into a prison from which there was no escape. His victims, mostly college students, were chosen for their vulnerability and the ease with which they could be manipulated. These young women, who were pursuing their education and building their futures, had no way of knowing that they were being targeted by a predator. Kemper's actions shattered the sense of safety that once existed on college campuses, leaving a trail of fear and devastation in his wake. They became objects for his perverse fantasies, their lives brutally extinguished in a spree of unimaginable cruelty. Kemper's methods were not just about killing, they were about exerting control and inflicting maximum pain. He derived a twisted pleasure from the suffering of his victims, turning their final moments into a nightmare of terror and agony, their lives brutally extinguished in a spree of unimaginable cruelty. The media quickly picked up on the string of murders, dubbing him the co-ed killer. Headlines screamed of the latest victim, spreading fear throughout the community. Parents warned their daughters to be cautious, and the once carefree atmosphere of the 1970s was replaced with a pervasive sense of dread. Kemper's crimes weren't merely acts of murder, they were rituals of torture, dismemberment, and necrophilia. Each act was meticulously planned and executed, reflecting the depth of his depravity. The brutality of his actions shocked even the most seasoned investigators, who struggled to comprehend the level of evil they were dealing with. Kemper's ability to blend into society while harboring such dark desires made him an enigma and a monster. They were rituals of torture, dismemberment, and necrophilia, painting a horrifying portrait of a mind consumed by darkness. His actions were not just about ending lives but about desecrating them in the most grotesque ways possible. The forensic teams who examined the crime scenes were left with images that would haunt them forever. Kemper's reign of terror left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of the community, painting a horrifying portrait of a mind consumed by darkness. The story of Edmund Kemper serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity and the dangers of underestimating those who walk among us. His ability to hide his true nature behind a mask of normalcy makes his story all the more terrifying. As we delve deeper into his life and crimes, we uncover the true horror of the co-ed killer. Trying to understand what drove Kemper to commit such heinous acts is a chilling endeavor. His crimes were not just acts of violence but were deeply rooted in a complex web of psychological issues and personal history. To truly grasp the darkness within him, we must delve into the various facets of his life and mind. Was it his traumatic childhood, his domineering mother, or the constant feeling of being an outcast that shaped him into a monster? Kemper's early years were fraught with emotional and psychological turmoil. His mother Clarnell was known to be abusive and controlling, often belittling him and making him feel worthless. This toxic relationship undoubtedly left deep scars on his psyche. Or was it a deeper, more sinister pathology that lurked within? Kemper's actions suggest a mind that was not only troubled, but also highly intelligent and calculating. He was able to mask his true nature, presenting himself as a harmless individual while harboring dark fantasies. This duality is what makes his case particularly chilling. Kemper himself offered glimpses into his twisted psyche during his confessions, chillingly describing his crimes with a detached sense of remorse. He spoke in a calm, almost clinical manner, as if recounting someone else's deeds rather than his own. This detachment is a hallmark of his disturbed mind. Chillingly describing his crimes with a detached sense of remorse, he revealed a mind that was both aware of the horror of his actions, and yet disturbingly indifferent to them. This paradoxical nature is what makes understanding him so complex. He spoke of his desire for power and control, a need that seemed insatiable. This craving for dominance was not just physical, but psychological, as he sought to break his victims' spirits as well as their bodies. His need to assert his superiority was a driving force behind his heinous acts. His need to dominate and degrade his victims was a reflection of his own feelings of inadequacy and powerlessness. By exerting control over others, he temporarily alleviated his own deep-seated insecurities. This vicious cycle of dominance and degradation was a core aspect of his criminal behavior. "I picked up hitchhikers because I knew I couldn't lose in that situation," he once confessed, revealing a chillingly calculated mind behind the monstrous acts. This statement encapsulates his manipulative nature, as he carefully selected his victims and orchestrated their demise with meticulous planning. Revealing a chillingly calculated mind behind the monstrous acts, Kemper's confessions provide a window into the dark recesses of his psyche. His ability to articulate his thoughts and actions with such clarity is both fascinating and terrifying, offering a rare glimpse into the mind of a true sociopath. What makes Kemper's case even more disturbing was his ability to evade capture while actively toying with the authorities. He would engage in conversations with officers investigating his crimes, even befriending some, all the while concealing his true nature. He would dispose of his victims' bodies in remote locations, scattering their remains to delay discovery and further torment investigators. His high intellect and ability to blend in made him the perfect predator, hiding in plain sight as he continued his reign of terror. The culmination of Kemper's gruesome spree came with the murder of his own mother. This act, long fantasized about and festering in his mind, marked a turning point. After killing his mother and her friend, Kemper finally did the unexpected. He turned himself in. He drove to a phone booth and confessed his crimes to the police, detailing the extent of his horrifying acts. The confession shocked the authorities, who had never suspected the seemingly gentle giant. Sentenced to life in prison, Kemper ended up at Atascadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility for the criminally insane. He became a model prisoner, participating in interviews with law enforcement and psychiatrists, offering chillingly insightful details about his crimes and motivations. His cooperation provided invaluable insights into the mind of a serial killer, contributing to the development of criminal profiling techniques. Edmund Kemper's case had a profound impact on criminal psychology and law enforcement. His willingness to share details of his crimes, his methods, and his thought processes provided invaluable insight into the minds of serial killers. His case highlighted the importance of understanding the psychology of such individuals, leading to the development of profiling techniques used to apprehend other violent criminals. Edmund Kemper's story serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk beneath the most unassuming facades. It highlights the complexities of the human psyche, the devastating impact of childhood trauma, and the urgent need to understand and address the root causes of violence. His case continues to fascinate and horrify, a stark reminder of the dark potential that resides within humanity.